Welcome to anybody who's new, or all you who have returned from the break from COVID. It's good to see everybody. I think we have a bunch of people on Zoom, and some people that's their new normal. But I'm glad we could do this tonight and gather. So the goal of the club, at least of me being president, is to really help beekeepers care for their bees using the best practices that maximize bee health. And also maintain your enjoyment. You know, we should all be having fun in this so that your colony losses are minimal and your expenses are minimal. So only buy bees once if possible. So we have a pretty packed agenda tonight. So we're going to, on the left-hand side, we're going to do our welcome to new members. We're going to do officer intros, brief announcements. We'll talk briefly about the conference report out. John's here to talk about the library. Paul's going to go into the decisions that we made on the grant submissions that we received, and then he's going to do what's going on with the bees. And then we have 3 breakout rooms. Keith is going to do the advanced breakout room in here. Ernie Blevins, who I haven't seen, oh, there's Ernie in the back there, is going to do swarms. What are you doing in your breakout room, Ernie? Swarms. And he's going to do swarms in the middle area. And then Tom and Russ will be doing, and then Tom's going to do, and Russ is going to do beginners, and then we come back. Dow's going to do passport update and give the clue for the great prize. We're going to do our raffle, and then we're going to hear from Jesse and Steve. Anyone new? Anyone's first meeting tonight? Oh, awesome! You want to introduce yourself briefly?
Sure.
I know Shannon. So.
Hi, I'm Shannon McGinley, brand new, first year.
And where are you from? Area?
West Brandywine Township.
And Shannon's helping Monica lead the entertainment committee this year. So when it comes to the picnic and the Hive Crawl and all that, you're gonna be hearing from her on those things.
Jeff Murphy, second-year beekeeper near Pottstown.
Near Pottstown. You gotta watch the guy behind you.
Yeah, I know.
Mike Wyatt, I'm a recent transplant from Delaware, Pennsylvania, Oxford.
Awesome. Wonderful. There was some other news.
Gary Wills, a couple of years. I'm in East Hampton Township.
Awesome. Welcome. Anybody else? Is that everybody? And we probably have new people online. So if you're online, just say hello and shout out where you're at. So we're a bunch of people who are a little fanatical about our bees for sure, and also fanatical about our plants too. That's one of the best things you can do for the bees. That we're going to hear from Jesse tonight about native plants and the plant sales. So don't forget to plant your plants. I think it's really important. We're going to, to know your beekeeping year. Certain things happen at certain times, and granted, each year they may be a week or two different, but generally things happen at certain times. And you guys, all of us should know this, because we want to be proactive in our management and not reactive in our management, because our bees are going to be healthier that way and more productive for us. So, tonight in April's focus is on swarm prevention and swarm catching. So you'll hear a bunch about that tonight. And then we move into May, which is the big honey month in our area. So surely 80% of the honey that 80, 60, 70, 30, 50, 50%. I guess it just depends where you're at, so, just be ready when the dandelions bloom, which is now. The nectar's coming in, and there's clearly wet nectar in the hives if you've been out there and looked at your hives in the last day or two. So we'll quickly move into supering our hives and making honey. So quickly through the board of directors, we have 7 board of directors. Some of them are here tonight. Jack McMichael is our chairperson. Keith is a board member. Keith Jardine. Ed Sharp is a board member. I don't see Warren Graham, Tim Ferris. No. And Mark Supernant, who's our attorney on non-beekeeping member.
Tim's online. And George Beto.
And myself, thank you. quickly to our officers, I'm the president. I've been president for the last 2 and a bit years. Paul is vice president 1. Mark is vice president 2. Jack is our treasurer. Howard, who I'm sure is online, is our assistant treasurer, Howard Preisinger. Kathy Lopez is our secretary. Is Kathy here? I haven't seen Kathy. No, she's probably online. And Carissa Moncavage is our assistant secretary, who I saw online. So really quick, everything's basically run through committee. I've made a huge commitment to sort of taking the work of the CCBA and sort of running it through committees. There are several of the committee leads here tonight. The Apiary Committee is Howard and Walt. I think Walt's going to be late. Howard's online. Bee Chat every Friday night from 7 to 9 is Donna, Diane, and Ed. Ed already raised his hand. The beginners is Tom, and Russ. Is Russ here? Tom and Russ. They're our beginner leads. Citizen Science is Robin Belt. Is Robin here? I don't see Robin. No. Conference is Stephanie. Thank goodness that's done, right? So that work gets done early. We'll hear from Stephanie in a bit. Community engagement is Kathy Lopez, our secretary. Kathy's not here. Education is Daryl Barkhouse, who's sitting back there in the corner. Entertainment, we already said Shannon's entertainment. Monica McDowell. I don't see Monica here tonight.
I'm on Zoom.
Paul is our grants. Paul will talk about the grants. Jesse and Carla do horticulture. They'll be on Zoom tonight. Mark obviously does all this stuff, live streaming, and make this all possible through Zoom. Mentoring is Walt Talunas, and he runs the apprentice program. Walt will be here later. Ed Sharp does nukes. Steve Amelang. Steve is here somewhere. In the middle back there, Steve does our Queen program, and Ernie in the way back does our woodworking. So, you know, these are the people that really get the credit for what we do. Honestly, they do a fantastic job with the programming. And anyway, so if you have an idea, if you're thinking like, I want to get involved in one aspect or another aspect, they're the people you should be contacting, because you know they're running. If you want to do something and it's not as part of one of these committees, then you should see myself, and we can sort of point you in a direction on what's possible. So anyway, a big thank you to all the people who are leading committees this year. Is your apiary registered? I always put that on there, so make sure everyone has their apiary registered. I know a lot of people have gotten bees already. Get to know your bee supplier. If you still have bees that you want to sell, you can post it on the forum site on the website. So if you have nukes and that you still have some nukes that you want to sell, or you're making splits in the spring and you want to sell your splits, there's always people looking for bees. So, you know, the club does have that online forum section on the website for anyone to post who's selling bees. So just consider using that. This is my apprentice. He built a swarm box. We were talking about swarming, and I really think every apiary should have a swarm box, because no one's bees swarm, but there's hundreds of them in Chester County every year. So I haven't quite figured that one out yet. But a swarm box is really easy to make. You know, he made it out of plywood. It should be about 40 liters. So that's about the size of an 8 or 10 frame, or it's two deep nukes on top of each other. Either one works. And it's really simple to do. You just put it up in a tree. You can nail it to a tree. You could use all different kinds of ways to attach it to a tree. Have it facing south, be up about 8 feet. Put some lemongrass on a cotton ball or in a Q-tip and throw it in there, and include some frames so they don't make a total mess out of it. And then go check it every day. It's kind of fun. You go ride by or walk by your swarm box. You'll see scout bees sort of checking it out. I had somebody, you know, text me today. It's like they were so excited they put up a swarm box and they saw a few bees going in and out of it. So I was like, that's cool. You know, maybe the giant swarm with the mite-resistant queen will move into your, you know, the great pumpkin patch. You know, the bees that, you know, have been alive for 100 years without treatment are going to move into your swarm box. and solve all your beekeeping problems. But no, it's kind of fun to do. Again, bees don't care, right? So you don't really have to have any woodworking skill to build a swarm box. Honestly, it's a box, and you just sort of put it together and nail it up or strap it up to a tree. Any people have any other suggestions on swarm boxes while we're on it? Any tricks out there that people like to use?
Must be in the shade,
Must be in the shade.
afternoon shade. It must be proximity to a water source.
And near somebody's hives who swarm, ideally.
Must be- And they must not be right next to your hive if you think you'll catch your own hive.
Right, you got to put it 100 or so feet away. Yeah. So yes.
Dr. Vincaloyo likes to tell folks not to put old dark comb in swarm trap boxes. His theory is that if the swarm is perhaps an abscond from a sick hive, you want them eating all the stores they brought with them to build comb rather than regurgitating it and storing it in the comb in the trap box and going out foraging for more. So that's more pertinent later in the season rather than early spring, but that's a good point he brings up. So I always tell people, take that old comb and melt it all over the walls with some propolis and beeswax to get, especially a new swarm box, smell real good for them, as well as using swarm can or lemongrass oil. But the old comb is a little iffy.
Yeah, and like Justin said, they're ready to build comb, right? So they've gorged themselves with some nectar before leaving on the swarm, and part of that reason is that they have the sugar source to build comb, I think.
Yeah, that old comb in a swarm box.
Turns into wax moth food.
That too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So any other tips or tricks for catching swarms?
10 frame size.
10 frame size, yeah. I like the double nukes, but I don't know if anybody's ever showed that the single 10 frame versus the stacked nukes. I like the stack better too, but I don't know if the bees care or not. We should do that. We should put a stacked and a single frame right next to each other on every and see where they move in. But yeah, so if you catch nukes, share on Facebook forum and you're doing the bees the good, right? Because they say only 15% of these swarms that end up in a tree live. So it's a really low percent of bees that are unmanaged that actually survive the winter. So the bees do much better if you catch them and rehive them in a hive versus them trying to live out in a tree. The other issue that comes up, obviously, which you all know about, is that the swarms end up in houses, right? And then we get those calls coming in the next month or so, people angry about bees and houses. So anyway, volunteering. So you've seen me push out a lot of emails at 4 a.m. in the morning about getting people to volunteer for things. We are a big club now. You wouldn't sort of know it by the attendance in the room, but we have 600 people in this club, and that's before even new members this year. So we have a lot going on and a lot of people who are interested in doing different things. For example, we built nukes for the nuke program. That was great. We had 25 people show up to help Ed and the nuke committee do that. So we need volunteers. We're going to be bringing on a new apiary site. I guess I could announce it. It's pretty much done at this point. The contract took about a year to finalize, but we're going to be having a CCBA apiary site at Bondsville Mill Park in Downingtown. So it's a great public park owned by East Brandywine.
She announced it in an email today to
Did
the
she?
regular club news.
Awesome. Yeah, so it's gonna so they've given us like prime space at the site for our apiary. We can have up to 5 hives there. So sort of like a backyard home apiary sort of idea. We're going to need to put up, just like what Keith and Paul and a bunch of you guys did on apiary, Cheslin apiary, we're going to need to put up a fence. We're going to need to put up a shed and some other things. So that announcement, that call for help is going to come soon. Okay. So if you're like strong and young and have some equipment that can somehow put fence post into concrete. I think that's the. I don't know what I'm doing.
Put them in dirt. They don't need to be in concrete. The ones at our place aren't in concrete.
No, but it's a concrete pad they want us to put it on.
Oh,
Yeah. So anyway, we'll send pictures, and believe me, I need people. I'm looking at Mike Emerson because I think he could construct anything. You know,
it won't have hive beetles.
no hive beetles at this
Larva
place.
can't eat through the concrete.
So it's cool. It's going to be really cool. They have an indoor facility there. They have a porta potty there, and they'll have Wi-Fi there. So it's really a nice spot. We're going to move our beginner program there, and hopefully what it really will allow us to do is outreach to the community about, you know, education about responsible beekeeping. So that's what I'm really looking forward to. And they have a large volunteer group there that's been doing planting and native planting there for a couple of years now. So they have a great group of volunteers there already, and I'm hoping like we can add some help to them. So stay tuned for that. Some really quick announcements. There's going to be a Hive Crawl. May.
Yes.
Anything else you want to say about the Hive Crawl?
We're looking for volunteers. So the email went out to everybody. And we're looking for volunteers, people who want to be on the Hive Crawl. And we're going to try to do it in a couple of tracks because the county is so large. So rather than traversing the whole county, maybe people in the northern part of the town and southern part of the town, until we can get to be on the crawl. And then at the end of the crawl, we're looking to have maybe somebody either to host it at the end. Is like, you know, if you're at the end of the crawl, I kind of want to work back from there. So whoever's going to be the final host at the end, we can all just kind of bring.
We want a party spot.
A party spot. Right.
So if anybody has a large barn or a you know, a nice
Backyard bar.
a nice backyard bar we're looking for, you know, in the Hive Crawl at. So for those of you who may not know what the heck Hive Crawl is, you know, it's sort of like you know, we people open up their apiary in a group of, you know, we have apiary 1 at 9 o'clock and apiary 2 at 11 o'clock and apiary 3 at 1 o'clock, and we just sort of go from apiary to apiary and sort of just look at people's hives and sort of learn a little bit about what they're doing or what plants they're planting. You don't need to really know anything about bees to host the Hive Crawl, honestly. If you serve enough, well, food and drink, it'll be fine.
It won't matter.
That's really the objective of the Hive Crawl. So Tony will follow the Hive Crawl with his truck. So please, I know Shannon and Monica sent that email out. Please volunteer. You know, I sent out an email a little bit ago about this concept of fusion of responsibility. You know, when a group gets so large, you know, everybody thinks somebody else is going to do it, and then at the end of the day, everybody just waits around for somebody else to do it. You know, it's sort of classic what happens when groups get large. So we're just trying to keep on having fun. So Hive Crawl's coming. I think that's May 21st or 22nd.
Yeah.
Potentially. Yes, I think that. Maybe. The other thing we're doing, the plant committee is doing a plant and mead swap on Friday, 5/6. So calling all the mead makers out there, you're invited to bring your mead to this event, and because we have a whole bunch of mead makers in the club now, so it'd be great if people brought their mead, and if you brought your plants, you could bring your plants and you could take home plants. It's actually quite a lot of fun, actually, and you go home basically with all these plants, and your bees are happy. So it's really cool. That's going to be at my place after work at like 5:30 or so on Friday, May the 6th. So there is no rain date. If it rains, we'll move it into the barn or something like that. So please, you know, I want the mead makers to show up, because the idea is to sort of trade plants and mead. So bring pillows. Yes, I'll set up a bunch of cots in the barn, and we're all good. So we already talked about the new apiary and about the apiary rebuild that is going on. So I'm gonna be quiet now, because I feel like I've talked enough, and I would like Stephanie to sort of give a report out on the conference. I guess we'll hold our applause until she's done, but terrific work this year on delivering an awesome conference. So thank you, Stephanie. I want to give us a summary of the conference.
Yeah, I didn't think that it went too bad. I didn't get too many complaints. Seemed like people enjoyed the conference. From the actual survey, we had 124 people rated as excellent. We had 25 people say very, very good. We had 3 people say good. If you're one of those 3, please tell me why we're only good.
There's
not-
always 3 people you can't
Right?
make happy.
Yeah, but people are picky. But like, honestly, like, other than good, like the not good, the fair, the poop emoji, not one person picked that I'm aware of. So yeah, it was awesome. Reading through the comments, people loved the beginner track. Keith, people loved your readout. People loved George's readout. A lot of you had.
I did get more excellent. No, I'm just kidding. Not competitive.
It's not a
at all.
competition.
Okay, well-
It's not a competition.
Well, if it's going to be a
Yes, it is.
competition and we have to award brownie points, okay. But people really love that beginner track, and we got a lot of good feedback on the wild ones track. So the native plants, people really liked that. So that was awesome. We had a ton of speakers, which was great. We had a couple points that were maybe opportunities for us to look into for next year, which was, hey, we'd like to have the recordings last longer. Because we had so many speakers, right? So if we're going to have that many people there to talk, could we have the recordings out there longer? So that's something we can look into for next year. The t-shirts, Paul, there we go. People love the t-shirt. Shout out to Sharon. I'm sorry, I don't mean to call you out and embarrass you, but a beautiful design, and thank you so much. Yeah, they were beautiful. People loved them. If anybody wants a shirt, we actually have extras. So you could grab, I guess, Jack, pay him, and we have I guess a whole box full, right?
Yeah,
Of
we have more
assorted
shirts. We need.
Today. Yeah, so if you want to grab one, if you're here on site today and you want to grab a t-shirt or an extra t-shirt, because they're white. My husband has probably stained a couple of them because he's been so excited to wear them. So yeah, if you want an extra shirt or 2, we certainly have them here. If you are not on site and you would like an extra shirt, feel free to email me or email George. He can shoot the email over to me.
Or to Jack.
That was Jack.
I guess that means I need to wrap it up. So, all in all, great conference. Thank you guys so much for participating.
Yeah, so we did read for those of you who attended, thank you. And for those of you who filled out your survey, thank you. We did read over each and every survey and each and every comment and as a committee, and there's definitely some minor tweaking that we need to continue to work on. But when 83% of the people rate you as a 5, you're doing a lot right when that rating comes through. So any thoughts on?
Question as to how many people were outside or in the United States or far away to actually watch? We have people in Canada. We have people like, where do we have people in the United States that are actually watching our?
I can't give you exact figures, but I know we had probably 8 or 10 people from either the Western United States or Canada at least.
Yeah.
And many more.
We had one person from Finland try to sign up day of conference.
So we had 303,
303, I think.
303, and about 100 were non-members and 200 were CCBA members. So
Welcome back to Oklahoma.
yeah, we have a little bit of a fan club in Oklahoma for whatever reason.
And Idaho, couple in Idaho.
Yeah, we have a following in Idaho.
Compared to last year, are we seeing more people outside of this area, more people in other states compared to last year? In other words, is the word getting out?
I don't-
to other states?
Yeah, yes, we had more people attend the conference from further away, and we had several of them who joined the club as a result of the conference to our local. Awesome. So our reputation is spread.
That's good.
Both ways.
That's awesome.
I think there's opportunities for increased marketing of this. You know, one of my many shortfalls is I can't sell anything, honestly. So
Jar of honey.
jar of honey. Well, I'm trying to sell jars of honey, but I do the honor stand, so they don't have to talk to me or see me or anything like that. I just put but anyway, no, but you know, I think the reputation is definitely out there that we put out a quality product. You know, I think it's all about spread at this point in China.
I think also the quality speakers that you have also brings more people that like, you get paid to rental. I know even a Steve like moved by a lot of people.
Sure.
And Randy, all these big people, I would think that the word gets out.
Yeah, I think that's a challenge.
Payment. I heard that a couple days after the conference, I think it was maybe Saturday, Sunday after our conference, maybe Monday, it was within a week of the conference, that he was on his YouTube channel saying, hey, I loved this conference. I had a great time. Like, this was one of the best conferences I've been on.
Word of mouth.
And he got thousands of hits, right, on his YouTube thing.
Awesome.
Did he announce it before the conference?
No, this was like his.
It's not helpful after the conference.
But hey, look, that gives us the opportunity to say, hey guys, you know what, you guys love this, right? Because we had a lot of people who stayed on as far as the speakers. It was almost like an extended beat chat. I had dropped, like I was so tired. I'm like, I can't do it anymore. Like, how long did these guys go? Like, if anybody knows, it was what, like 7:30 in the evening.
Right after the conference, there were still people hanging on, talking bees.
But we still had a good handful of the speakers who were like, hey, I really enjoyed this. Like, I listened to the other speakers talk, and they were sitting there and they were chatting and engaged with, you know, the other participants who had signed up for the conference. So I think it all bodes well for us, and it kind of gives us a place to step up for next year to say, you know what, guys, if you really liked this and you enjoyed it, let's promote beforehand and kind of talk up beforehand rather than saying after the fact that you really loved it and you enjoyed it. And let's see like how many people we can get to sign up next year.
I think it'd be a good idea to ask the members themselves to make sure that they maybe share as many people as they have on Facebook or whatever,
Right.
so that would increase our numbers.
Yeah.
More.
Yeah,
Beekeepers podcast announced it about a week prior.
I don't think people realize how good the product's going to be still. You know what I mean? Like I hear that. I heard that from a lot of people. Like I wasn't too sure. I thought it was just going to be another YouTube kind of thing. But then when they log on and they participate in it, they realize it is different than that. So we made about $5,000 this year on the conference. But what's more important, at least to me, is the quality of the education that was pushed out there. I mean, this was just top-notch quality education by the best beekeepers out there. So, you know, kudos to everybody who was involved in that project. And yes. So
The chief marketing officer next year.
There we have it. There we have it.
yeah, I know we have some marketers in the club, so we'll be in
No,
touch.
but you have some good ideas. I would love to hear them.
So it's-
Feedback for next year.
I asked John to introduce himself because I don't know how many people know our librarian who's been a librarian for at least a year or two now. And
I stay here working. Thank you. So I'm the librarian. I brought a few books along with me tonight. I appreciate it. A lot of people take some home, so I don't have to carry them back out to the car. Because some of them are pretty heavy, really good stuff. The Hive and the Honey, David's book. ABC, XYZ, and Bee Culture. That's a Roots book. And there's a whole assortment of books, including Honey I'm Homemade. So what to do with your excess 200 pounds of honey. You can put it to good use. So you can come up here and take a look at these books, but also online on the CCBA website is the list of all the books that are in the library. I'm located in between Avondale and West Grove, southern end of the county. Get a hold of me, jfed5639 at gmail. I'm in the directory, and I'll get the book to you either the next meeting or whenever it's convenient. And also the book list, important to know, is interactive. there are a few books on that list that you can access online. So that's pretty neat, including swarm prevention by number one. So good, excellent read there. And that guy is right up the street. So you need to, sometimes tricky accessing the finding stuff on our webpage. So I did a little graphic here. Take a look at it, take a picture of it. Yeah, use the library. It's a great resource. Great reads in there. Really fascinating stuff. Even stuff that the Queen must die. Not kind of more like about how our society should be more like bees.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's quite the message. So, yeah. So how many books we have? We have hundreds, right?
We have a lot.
A lot in the library. So we're always accepting more. And please, take a book home and read it, and you bring it back to the next meeting or something like that. So trying to get people more access to the resources that we have. So just a reminder that the CCBA Cheslin Apiary is our mating yard, and that mating yard is usable to members. So if you are making a split, if you are, making a split or want to have your nuke mated, you can drop it off at the apiary. And there's a little green hive on the right, Ed, that has.
Yeah, I'll be down Saturday to tidy everything up.
Yeah, that'll have papers in there. So you just basically, there'll be slots, there'll be spots to put it in. You fill it out that you dropped your hive off, and then you pick it up in 6 weeks.
Yeah, the spots will be numbered 1 through 30, I believe it is. Just mark where your hive is located, and the only reason is if for some horrible reason we need to contact trace, we know whose hive was where, who they were close to, the whole contact tracing kind of thing. It's not so we can keep track of personally who was there, but if we find something in the apiary, we need to let everybody know.
And we used to make you put your phone number and your name on the hive. Now we don't do that.
It's on that paper.
Just on that paper. So no one knows that it's your hives at the apiary. No one's going to mess with your hives at the apiary. We just need to know what hives have gone through the apiary, just in case something breaks out at the apiary and we need to go back and trace it.
There's pallets there, you don't get rid of stuff.
You can bring a stand too if you want. Yeah, you can feel free to put your thing on your stand.
Still mark it on that piece of paper that'll be in the box.
Yeah.
Just again, same thing, just so we know who has been there and if we need to contact you for any reason.
We had it up on the storefront. I think I'm going to take it down because I think that got complicated, honestly.
You're probably correct.
I'm going simple in 2022.
Hey, George, I have a question.
So, so there'll be a spot for you, bring it out, just fill out the paper. That's all, and drop it in this green hive. It looks like a hive, but it opens up. There's papers in there, you fill it out, and you're done. Do not leave your hive there all season, okay? Because, they're not there, they're there to mate, and then you take them home. They're not there to mate and then swarm, and then,
It's not your apiary.
It's not your apiary.
Don't make the new breed.
Don't make your new breed.
George,
Yes.
if you take it down from the storefront, I've not used the yard yet. I'm thinking of it this year. Could you leave up the instructions on the process though somewhere?
Yeah, we could do that. We could leave this up there. It's pretty, so people know what to do. Yes. Good idea.
We're trying to limit you to a month. If you drop it off, get it at least within a month later.
Yeah, because if they swarm, I hear that messes up our queen breeding. And if you have hives that are swarming, it's not good, so.
George?
And then it's just lazy, right? If you're just leaving it there and letting it sit there, then you're lazy.
So where will you put the instructions? Then if you're gonna take it off the store?
Somewhere burned to death.
Diane, we can't hear you in in the room. Only I
Okay.
can hear you.
Okay, I'll just write it out.
I'll send it out. I'll send it out as an email.
Thank you, Mark.
You know, so everybody will have the general instructions on what to do in the next couple days. So in the next couple days, people will get something about the apiary.
Diane, ask your question and I'll repeat it.
Yeah, it's is the apiary section so that you know how to tell where your box is? It
Is
looks
the
like an
apiary
open,
sectioned where, so that you know where your hive is?
Good point.
where to say your hive is.
The pallets with the numbers on
The
it.
pallets will have a number on it.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Each one is numbered 1 through 30. Well, they're split in half. Yeah, there's 2 on each pallet.
No,
Okay.
1A, 1B.
No, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Okay.
6, and so on.
7.3, 7.8. So it's behind the fence line. So you will be in the apiary. The apiary will have the square fence that the apiary hives are at. And then you basically go down that road that's to the right of the fence line, and then across the back, and that's where all the pallets will be.
Yeah, lining each side of the road.
Yeah. So you put there, you fill out the paperwork, you come back in 4 to 6 weeks and take your hive. Please use I mean, it's an awesome service to have. So, you know, please do it. Any other comments on Keith, anything? You are the creator of this, right? Sort of.
It doesn't, sorry to spoil it, but it doesn't make that much of a point to make on this yard.
Say it again.
It's not that good to make a mix here.
Because
I don't fly the drones there.
We don't have the area stocked with drones anymore? Oh, that was the purpose of it. What happened?
Yeah. It just, I mean, you can leave them there, there are enough bees in the vicinity.
There's
enough drones.
yes. So there's enough drones and hives in that area to get them to mate.
It gives you a secure second location to mate a hive.
Sure.
You know, that, you know, if anything, that's what you have. You know, whether it's got the prime drones of Chester County or not, it gives you a second location. You can get your hive mated without having to disturb your own apiary and bring it back to your house. So
Correct.
at the end of the day, that's the service we're providing.
Paul, you want to give an update on the grants and then go into the.
Sure. So some of you may not be aware that the CCBA has a grant program. So to the newcomers, we are a granting agency. The Board of Directors has decided to give up to 15% of our operating budget at the end of the year to the New Year's grants. And grant applications are, there's a little information on the website. Due date for grant applications is April 1st. And basically, CCB members cannot get the grant because we're a 503c organization, and that means that in that status, it prohibits a party from realizing gain through their membership. So we have to be outside the club. But people inside the club can recommend to other people outside the club that they apply for our grants. Grants are for no more than $1,500 per grant, and they must meet loosely the objectives of the CCBA, and that is to assist members in the art and science of beekeeping, including sharing effective techniques, coping with problems, meeting challenges, and supporting each other in our efforts, to educate members about and encourage compliance with laws pertaining to beekeeping, to promulgate information to the public about beekeeping, about the valuable role of honeybees and other pollinators in nature and agriculture, and to encourage more people to become involved in beekeeping. So that's the grant program. So we had some grants this year. The grants come in to me as the chairman of the grant committee. We have a grant review committee that met and approved these grants. The grants went forward to the board of directors for their approval, and they have blessed them. And the winners are Jenkins Arboretum and Gardens. Jenkins is a 501c3 botanical garden located in Devon, Pennsylvania. And it's open every day of the year. And their mission is to preserve natural, tranquil woodlands for community enjoyment, showcase native plants, and a world-class collection of rhododendrons and azaleas. And they have a 2-year horticultural training program for recent college graduates. They support it's called the Hamilton Educational Fellow, who is redesigning a large wildflower bed to showcase native plants, perennials. And following extensive research, they've selected and incorporated the best plants for bees and pollinators into a design that'll be installed this fall. And they requested $1,500 grant funding from the CCBA. Their total project, they estimate, will cost $2,600. And they will end up with a beautiful and bee-friendly wildflower bed planting. Next is Montgomery School. It's an independent day school for children in Chester Springs, pre-K through 8th grade. And during the summer of 2021, they installed 2 beehives in the meadow of their 60-acre campus. And the science department has worked to develop a rich curriculum focused on bees, encouraging the students through a beekeeping club. The beekeeping program is designed to encourage the students to become involved in beekeeping and to take home lessons learned. And they submitted a $1,500 grant to support their $1,900 budgeted development of the school's beekeeping program and establishment of an environmental club of student ambassadors that will train the others, and phasing in a school-wide rollout of bee and beekeeping topics that's built into their curriculum. Next is North Star Elementary School in Hockessin, Delaware. They started a bee club in 2019 with 12 students ranging from kindergarten to 4th grade. And they had a facilitator that helped them out, but then COVID hit and they called off the program for a year and they wanted to bring it back. So they posted on the CCB website and we picked it up and we helped them to revive the program in the spring of, helped them revive the program in the spring of 2021. And with 6 members remaining in the program, they continued their immersion into the world of honeybees. They were they took part in honey production, candle making, honey extraction, and had their first honey sale last year. So this spring, they've expanded the North Star Elementary Bee Club to 12 members, ranging from kindergarten to the 7th grade. And they'll be working on reinforcing and expanding that skill set for the new students. They requested a grant for $1,300 to add 2 more hives to accommodate the large number of students and to continue the sustainability of the program and get supplies, beekeeping suits and the like for the students. They'll be using journals to track the progress, and they will create their own website to educate students in the school and the surrounding community. Last is Martha's Choice Marketplace and Community Farm. It's the largest food pantry in Montgomery County. It serves 20,000 individuals and delivers 1.5 million pounds of food every year. So their mission is to build community through access to healthy food. Located on the farm is a learning food power path. So along the path, individuals and groups can learn about food, community, sustainability, and they would like to add an apiary alley station. So several thousand people a year could learn about it with handouts explaining the apiary. There'll be QR codes at the site to open a page to engage visitors with video links and general information about the apiary, bees, and honey. Another station on the food power path is called the Audubon Alley that will complement the apiary alley. It shows the role of bees as pollinators. It focuses on the role of native flowers, bird habitats, and connections between ecosystems. So this was thought as an opportunity for the Montgomery County Bee Club and the Chester County Bee Club to interact together. And what they're requesting is that Montgomery County Bee Club and the Chester County Bee Club each donate 1 hive and place it at Martha's Community Farm in April and May. So the grant request for this is only $438. I think we're giving them $500. The hives will be set up this spring and the program will last for many years, and support of the hives is be provided by club volunteers. Any questions on the lucky recipients of this year's grant program? Thank you.
Yeah, no, that's job well done as usual. Paul. Very efficient, and congratulations to everyone who ended up getting grants. Now, if club members, so just to let people know, the grants are for non-club members. So if you're a club member, you can't be applying for a grant. If you have ideas that you would like to further and develop, we push them through committee. So that's not to say that we can't work with club members or different ideas that are out there. They just need to go through committee, through one of the committees to develop. So just to let people know that, for example, the passport, we'll hear a little bit about the passport program, which Daryl's been working on for a year, and that was funded by the board of directors and approved as a sort of a project that Daryl has been working on for a while now. So just to let people know that we want to spend our money, and clearly the grants are an important piece of spending our money because it's an engagement with our community, but we also want to spend the money within the club too. I like spending money. So if there's ideas to develop and people say, what about this or what about that, please talk to me or talk to one of the committee leads and we can spend some money. So Paul's going to talk a little bit about what the bees are doing.
Is this the forward?
Yeah, what the bees are
Hey,
doing.
it's flying.
That's pretty cool.
So this is my apiary, the way it looked in January 31st. I had 4 main hives and a couple of nukes. There's 1 nuke in the background, and the short 1-box hives all died. So I didn't make enough fall bees. And luckily, so I didn't make enough fall bees. The clusters were too small. They weren't able to heat up the hive enough to survive. There was plenty of food in there, not enough heat. So I was left with 3 nukes. And on February 11th, actually, I moved the nukes into the boxes, wrapped the tar paper around them. And then on February 13th, we got another 3 inches of snow. So it was a tough year, but they are doing well. They all survived. And here they were on February 15th. The only difference here is I put corks in the top. I decided top ventilation was not a good thing. And I talked about that last month. You can review those notes if you like. But I put corks in the top and foam in the top to keep the bees in those small clusters of bees to keep them warmer. And anyway, this is the way it looked when the snow finally left on March 21st. But I still have the tar paper wraps on. They're still plugged because if you remember the last week of March, we had all those freezing temperatures. We had 3 days that were below freezing. They needed all that stuff, all that insulation. So finally, here we are on April 12th. So I've got, let's see. So the mouse is not great. So the hive on the left is a cypress hive. So that's in a single deep. The one next to it is a green hive in a double deep. And then the new hive is in the middle there. It's got what looks like 2 supers on it. And finally, the white hive has a super and a deep on top of that. But notice that on the right, that hive has a deep on top of the inner cover on top of a super. And the new hive over there has a soup and then an inner cover and then a soup on top of that. Does anybody realize what is going on there? Why would you put a box on top of an inner cover? What's that? Essentially, but not quite. I put it there. It's a good way to feed, but I have Boardman feeders in the front, and they had 1-to-1 sugar syrup. Since my hives died, I had hundreds of pounds of honey in comb. I need that comb. I had to spin them all out. So I spin out the honey from the combs and then put the frames up on top of the hive. So if you put the boxes up on top of the inner cover, the bees think it's outside the hive, and they'll just clean it up and they'll bring it back into the hive, and you'll have nice dry combs, and they won't be putting honey up above the inner cover. So that's the theory anyway. So this is what they're doing now. And this is a graph from the National Phenology Network that tracks accumulated growing degree days. And you can see that what I've got highlighted here on March 30th. And by the way, the blue line, the black line is the 30-year average. The blue line is for 2022. And the green line or yellow line, whatever that is, off, is last year's. So you can see that last year was a lot colder than this year. Incidentally, I've determined that it takes 100 growing degree days to start making bees. So that's when the queens start laying, right around 100. So this year in my apiary, this is also by zip code. So this is for the 19335 zip code. So right in here, it hit about 100, and that was around the 15th of February. Last year, it took them all the way till about March 3rd before they started to lay. So last year was a lot colder than this year. So this year took off, but this is that little stretch where there were no growing degree days added because it was below freezing for those 3 days. So that was quite a challenge this year, and I think it set back the development of egg laying. So here's the way it looks as of April 12th. We're up to 716 growing degree days. So that cold spell is back here. And now everything is kind of like meeting. So right around now, mid-April, we're about the same as we were last year. And it's about the same as the 30-degree average, 30-year average. So just keep track of this to determine what it takes, how many growing degree days it takes for a particular plant to bloom. So I know the dandelions are blooming now. So I guess it's about 700 growing degree days until dandelions come out. And my pear trees just opened up. So I can use that and chart that and compare it year after year. This is the website. It's also in the newsletter. You can link to that website, put in your own zip code, and you can prepare a graph like this for your own amusement. I get a kick out of it. What will we do with our bees this month? I like to equalize my hives. I just went through them today again, and I've equalized probably 3 or 4 times so far. So the new hive is producing a lot more brood than the other ones. So I keep giving the white hive a frame of brood, and the cypress hive gets a frame of brood. So you move the sealed brood to the weaker colonies. It prevents congestion in the one that's building up so fast. So you'll stop swarming or hope to prevent swarming in that hive. And it helps the other ones get along. Sometimes if a queen is not having a good day trying to generate brood, putting in some open brood into that box will allow the queen to smell the pheromones and get going in production. Sugar syrup, you probably don't need it now, but maybe earlier you needed 1-to-1 to stimulate brood production. It's still a good way to stimulate brood production, but right now I'm switching to water in my boardman feeders because they always need water. You could also have had an in-hive feeder with that holds a gallon and keeps it warm in there. So you can put 1-to-1 in the in-hive frame feeder and it stays warm in the hive. And that's a good way of feeding your bees too. But when you start to put supers on, take the sugar syrup away. It's time to develop a swarm control plan. You can either do a demery or use Herman Werner's technique. Basically, that's the book over there. Get it from John. Herman Werner says for a 2-deep hive, the queen always wants to be in the upper part. So in order to keep her happy and laying, take all her sealed brood and move it down below. Then it'll hatch, free up the frames, and you move the open frames up and you take the sealed brood and put it down in a 2-deep configuration. The demery, you want the queen in the lower box with a queen excluder so she can't go up. Then you put a spacer of a super, and then you put the second box on top of that, and then supers on top of the second deep. And then with the demery, you take the brood, sealed brood that the queen has down below, and you move it up. I'm sorry, wrong way. You take the open brood that queen has made and move it up, and you take the sealed brood and move it down so that it will hatch, and then the queen has room to lay down below because she's not going anywhere. So as she puts open brood and fills up frames of open brood. You bring them up, the nurse bees will go with it, and they'll complete the process up above. And anything that from a previous week is up above sealed, you move that back down because those bees will hatch and provide room for the queen. So those are the two main methods. And with the demery, you have to do that every week. Move brood down, move brood up. Okay. So put on supers now. Remove winter sugar syrup honey from the deeps to allow more brood space, because as your brood develops, they're going to move sideways and they're going to move up. If you have that all filled with sugar syrup honey left over from the winter, they're going to run out of space. So try to clear that away. There's, I think, good enough nectar flow and pollen flow right now that you don't have to worry too much about reserve honey in the hive. Maybe it's going in the 50s next week. Maybe you want 2 frames, 1 in 10, still have a little honey in it for reserve, but make sure if there's a good honey flow on, get the frames out that are full of honey, allow the queen to expand that brood nest as much as she wants. You can reverse deeps now. So a lot of people say, is it time to reverse the deeps? Well, the only thing to consider, why do you want to reverse a deep? You want to reverse the deep, not just to say you can do it, but to make room for the bees to move up. Like I said, the queen likes to move up. So if you look at the top box, and if the queen is in the top box and all the brood is in the top box, move that to the side and look at the lower box. If the lower box doesn't have a brood nest, then you can reverse the hives on a nice warm day. Put the queen down low on the bottom board, screen bottom board, and then put the other box on top. That is probably empty, and the queen will lay and move up. If you have brood in that lower box, well, you don't want to disturb the brood, so you don't want to move the queen. You don't want to move those deeps around if the queen has brood extending into the lower box. Just make sure that the sealed brood that she has up above, move it down, give her space up above it. So that's the deal about reversing deeps. It's all having to do with giving the queen space and moving the sealed brood down. Another thing you can do is add a couple frames of undrawn foundation to keep replenishing the supply of comb that you have. Get rid of that old black nasty comb. And remove hive wraps. You noticed I've finally removed my hive wraps, my moisture control blankets, and the insulation. They don't need it anymore. It was 81 degrees today. Consider making a split or start making nukes, and provide water for your bees. They always like water. That's what I'll be doing with my bees this month.
So as George shows, but more than 100 people have ordered a passport. So if you need a passport, I have a box with me today. If you're online, please go onto the website and order yours. If you're thinking, I'm not really interested in really awesome prizes or doing stickers or limited edition pins or any of this stuff, scavenger hunt, just get it because it's a great reference, right? It's got hive records in the back. It's got pictures of drones, queens, workers. It's got life cycles in there. There's all kinds of things in there. It's a great reference tool. So you don't have to, want to really participate in all the other things if you don't want to. Now I can't even find any of the pictures I'm talking about. Sorry.
It's free.
Yeah, and it's free. Okay, here we go. So if you want to know life cycle, you can't remember it. If you want to know what eggs look like, some of us can't really see eggs. So if you want to know what an egg looks like, it'll be in here. There's lots of great QR codes. Scan them with your phone. It'll take you to educational videos from Better Bee. So there's all kinds of stuff in here if you don't want to participate and win tons of awesome prizes. Anyway, so about 1/3 of people who got their passport so far have submitted their surveys, so I can start tracking their points. So I'm going to give people a little bit of time to catch up because a lot of people haven't got their bees yet, and it's swarm season is starting. You're going to start catching bees, doing splits, all those things. So we'll give people a little bit of time to catch up if they're just starting. So next month, I'll have the leaderboard going. Be giving out our limited edition pins for people who have got their achievements. So next month we'll have all of that. George is going to put up the clue. So as part of the passport program, we have a bit of a scavenger hunt. Originally, it was going to be embedded in the passport, but working with Better Bee, we kind of removed that. So it's a little bit more generic for them. So I'm giving the clues out here. You have to participate in the passport program to win the prizes. This clue is for a really awesome prize. It's going to be the best prize that we give away. If anyone gets this after 2 clues, I'll be really impressed. I expect at the 3rd clue, people will go out and be able to find the next clue. So you're gonna have to go out and look for it. Anyway, so that's clue number 2.
So what happens if you miss clue 1?
You missed it.
You missed it.
Ask your friends or go back to the recording. Was the other meeting recorded?
Probably.
Yeah. You can ask Mark. Mark was, I think, the first person to decode it. Yeah.
You figured it out already?
Okay.
Nerd.
So don't go out looking because the prize is getting delivered. So it'll be there. Like the next clue will be in its place on Saturday. So Mark, if you figured it out, don't go out there today. If you're a committee lead or an officer and you have your events that you're making, because we only put in a certain amount that we already knew that was happening. So as we've added events, email George or myself and we'll get it into the survey so you can start collecting your points for that. My last name is Barkhouse, Barkhouse. So bark like a dog. So just look me up on the club website, email me or email George and we'll put it on. If for some reason your passport got lost in the mail, shoot me an email and let me know and I'll get a new one. But like I said, if you're here and you want one, I have a box of them. And that's about it.
Cool.
George?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Because it's dated, I'm assuming we'll get a new book, whatever.
Oh, I just wrote that in. It's blank and you write it in. But yeah, so this is the beta version, right? So I encourage you to give me feedback, things you like, things that need improvement, so that next year it's even bigger and better. So this is a pilot program along with Better Bee. So we want to hear your feedback. But yeah, that's just a blank spot. And we put another spot on the back so you don't have to like flip through it to see where your name
I
is.
mean, even inside, you have to take 5 months to put notes in.
Yes. Yep. So you can do Hive record. And then we have, beekeeping calendar. So in April says these are things you should be thinking about doing in April and in May and throughout. So it's a nice little guide and a quick reference that will fit right in your bee jacket or in your pants pocket. So it's always there when you need it. All right. Thanks.
Questions for Darryl? Yes, Ed?
Oh,
Just the beta version, but what will eventually be the retail price?
The pamphlet or the passport, excuse me.
for us, but it should be nothing.
It'll be free forever.
Yeah. That's the deal we cut with Better Bee. Because like basically it was 90% done when they came along and then made the improvements and agreed to print for us for the foreseeable future.
Okay.
So the plan from Better Bee is to start rolling this out nationwide if they get the feedback they want and they feel it was worthwhile for them, then they'll start rolling it out to other places and then they'll charge for those and whatever they want to do. But for us, they'll be printing them for us for free.
So their goal is to sell these to clubs as a packet, and then the club would sell them to members. So, they'll sell it to a club at $2 a passport, and then the club will sell it to their members for $3 a passport. That's their vision on this. So, but we have them free for the life of the passport. That was the best deal we could get.
So it saves me money and I can buy better gifts. Spend more George's money. All right, thanks everybody.
Thanks.
Thank you.
So you can go on, there's a passport page, go online, click the survey, submit all the things you're doing with your bees. It's great for, new beekeepers, first year beekeepers who are trying to learn skills, get your credit, get your points, win your prizes. Pretty cool. Before we go to Queens, we're going to do plants, and Jesse was going to join us from Zoom.
I got no way of doing it.
No way of doing it. Does she know that? Now she does.
No, she does. Wait a minute.
Dustin will do it. Can't you on his screen right there? Can't you just click on?
Yeah, but I don't have the way of getting her to
To the other Zoom number.
Well,
not easily.
I'm sorry, Jesse and Carla, who are our plant leads. So really quick, I guess, right? So the plant sale is, anyone know when the plant sale is? Pick up plants is next weekend. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yeah, I can hear you, but no one else. He's in my ear. That won't go well.
AV cord, aux cord to plug into the microphone speaker?
Not, again, not quickly.
My fault. So I'm reading Jesse's mind right now. So the plant sale is telepathically sort of. So the plant sale is next, pick up for the plant sale is next weekend. I think most of the things have been sold. There are going to be some extra plants at the plant sale pickup for purchase too. So if you've already bought plants and interested in a few more plants, there'll be plants there for you to purchase.
Sold stuff off the storefront got divided up between her and Carla. And yesterday or today, she was taking down the storefront remaining products.
Right.
And there'll be extra plants you can buy at Carla's pickup or our.
So if you haven't bought plants already, the opportunity to buy for the spring plant sale is no longer.
Jesse, say something.
Hello?
Okay, give it a try.
I cannot share, but I can talk. If you can hear me.
Everybody can hear?
Yep.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, yeah, it says I can't share while the other participant is sharing.
Can
But
we stop share?
Yes, so yeah, you stop sharing, George. Jesse, you should now be able to share.
There we
Yes.
go.
hot dog.
It happened.
Okay, so everything that so far has been said is accurate. Pickup is next weekend, Saturday at Carla's, Saturday, if you want to talk to me, Sunday, if you would prefer not to, at my house. There'll be a couple things extra, probably $2 perennials and $10 shrubs, very limited quantities. So I just wanted to share with you some of the great native plants that are blooming right now for our pollinators, both our honeybees and our early emerging native pollinators. Anything that has an asterisk is not native. A lot of these are just found in your yard, in your turf grass. If you just make an effort to mow less and mow at a higher height on your mower, you'll get a lot of these plants that can provide for your pollinators. So cherry trees are in bloom. Veronica speedwell will grow in your turf grass, and henbit will also grow in your turf grass. A lot of these I was lucky enough to find some bees on when I took the pictures. Golden currant is in bloom now. Barren strawberry makes a great ground cover. Purple dead nettle is that great plant that will put a red little dusting on the bee's face, and they bring home brick red pollen from it. Violets will grow in your turf grass and anywhere you'll let them, really, and they take mowing very well. And then sometimes you're lucky enough to have just this cool white variety that pops up. Trillium are starting now. Cherry trees, magnolias. My magnolia's in full bloom now today. The more spring ephemerals you can put in, the better for the emerging queen bumblebees who are trying to collect enough pollen to start their new nests for the year. Pussy toes makes a great ground cover and stays evergreen all year. Phlox stolonifera, I'm told in some places it stays evergreen, mine does not, but Golden Alexander's also keeps a basil rosette that's evergreen, so for those places where you're trying to outcompete weeds you don't want, put in these native plants. Golden Alexander is actually a host plant for swallowtails. So if you want to keep your parsley for yourself, plant some Golden Alexanders and let them eat that. Spice bush is one of our earliest spring blooming native bushes. Our native plums covered in pollinators, our non-native peach trees, red buds. Anemone virginiana is tall thimbleweed. It actually is outcompeting turfgrass. I planted it beside turfgrass. It hopped over and is now a great ground cover there and much more beneficial than turfgrass. Golden ragwort, also great ground cover, and red elderberries bloom before the black elderberries, so it's great to have both. Native Paxandra is in full bloom now, very interesting blooms. Virginia bluebells, different mosses or different phloxes are in bloom almost all like spring and summer and fall. The moss phlox is one of the earliest. Celandine wood poppy, not to be confused with the invasive lesser celandine, which is everywhere right now, sadly. Sharp-lobed hepatica and serviceberry, another native small tree that I think we had for sale at our plant sale last year. Tiarella, Jacob's ladder, and columbine, all great native plants. And we will cover May next year. So the takeaways are mow less and mow higher, and you'll let those flowering plants show up in your turf grass. And next month is no mow May. So if you can do that, you will, studies have shown, will increase your insect biodiversity, and you will also improve on your plant biodiversity. If you have any questions, just let me know. I will stop share and turn it over to you.
Thanks, Jesse. So don't forget about the May 6th plant swap and mead swap too. So if you haven't gotten plants at the plant sale, come May 6th and we'll have extra plants for you to take home then and try some of the mead too. So a new event we're trying. So and lastly tonight, because we've got to be out of here.
Click play.
9:45, Steve. I'm going to turn the last part of this meeting over to Steve Amelang, who's the committee lead of the Awesome Queen team. And he's going to tell a little bit about what's going on with the Queen team this year and how to get involved.
And I'll talk fast and I'll get you guys out of here. Okay, so I'm just happen to be the project lead. Got a great Queen team that really does all the work. Over this way. You want to see me? Huh? Oh, man. Okay, so we got a great Queen team. I think we have like 30 members here. It's a very active team. And what I'm going to go over today, hey, why are you here? What's in it for you guys? It's not what we're doing, it's why is it valuable to me? Okay, second thing is product prices and schedules for this season. Hands-on learning opportunities with experienced beekeepers. Volunteering learning opportunities to schedule. Artificial insemination plans, AI plans. Queen issues, our great Queen page. And then if you have any questions. Okay, next chart. Okay, so what's in it for me? One, you get the opportunity to buy mated queens or queen cells from some of the best stock in our club. We basically, this year, we're breeding our cells and our mated queens from 2 queens. One's actually from George's favorite hive, and the other one's from Ed Sharp's favorite hive. Okay, great. The docile bees, productive, disease resistant, overwintered. You can't ask for the great lineage, a better lineage than this. Okay, all local. Okay, but even better yet, one of the things I think is the most valuable thing for what we do in a Queen team is we give you guys the opportunity to get a hands-on education. Okay. We're not just selling bees. I mean, we want to get out of the business of selling queens and get you guys to be able to do it yourself. Okay, there's no reason why you guys can't do what we're doing. So we're trying to give you opportunities as part of our process so you can participate in what we're doing, whether it's catching mated queens, marking mated queens, catching virgin queens. One of my mentors today says, how'd you know that was a virgin queen? I said, well, if you come to one of our the Virgin Queen Tuesdays, you'll get to see 30 virgin queens. You get to know what they look like, okay? Because you're dealing with them. You're not just looking in a book or on a Google thing. You're dealing with them hands-on. And you're doing it side by side with some of the most experienced people in the club. What better way of getting an education? Okay, let's see. And then you'll do all that. You get the opportunity to do it in a fun, supportive environment. You guys probably, a lot of you guys go to our we call them Queen Catch Saturdays, where we're selling ourselves or our mated queens. It's like a 4-hour affair, but we're working 30, 40 mating boxes and going through them and doing all this, finding queens, marking queens, putting them in cages. And at the same time, it's like 10 to 12 of us. We want you guys there working with us. So we actually have volunteer opportunities where you can just go on the website and say, hey, Steve, I want to sign up. I want to be at your next Queen Catch Saturday. You'll be working with 10 other people who know their stuff inside and out. And you can ask questions, and it doesn't have to be about that. And say, hey, what's your problem of the week? Okay. And we have a good time. We have fun. Chris brings food on this area. That's the best part. If it wasn't the food, we may not be there. Sticky buns, but we're going to start doing barbecues at the end now. If the weather permitting, we're going to start doing barbecues. So hey, it's a good Saturday morning, okay? And it's real. If you want to learn, especially if you're a new beekeeper or you're not comfortable working with bees, you get to do it side by side with people, and they'll help you learn. Probably what you might learn in 5 years, you'll learn in a couple of Saturdays or Tuesdays or Wednesdays. Okay, next slide. Here's our schedule here, and I haven't announced this, but this is actually, these are now available on Club Express. Okay, they were actually available since last Monday, but I didn't tell anybody because I wanted to announce them here to give everybody a chance. Okay, I apologize, you can't. I was hoping we could read this better. But queen cells there's going to be 15 available on April 23rd. And every 3 weeks after that, we have a sale. Okay, I apologize, I can't see the date. May 14th, June 4th, you get it. So for the first 2 queen cells, we actually will be selling, we will actually be selling 15 queen cells. Okay, during those periods. And then it jumps up to 20. Okay, we may have, our last sale may be in August, it's TBD. Okay, we'll decide that when we get closer to August. Mated queens won't be available until May 14th. There are 15 on the storefront right now. Okay, so you have to order them ahead. And those are $30 a piece. And I forgot to say the queen cells are $10 a piece. Okay. And we'll have 15 for this first queen sale, but 3 weeks later we'll be selling 20 during each sale. Okay. Hope that makes sense. Buyer limits. Just go back real quick.
Sorry.
No problem. So buyer limits are 3 queen cells per sale per person, or 2 mated queens per person. We may have to change the quantities available based on how our grafting goes or the weather or something else. You never know what's going to happen. One year, somebody actually went into our yard and stole all of our mated queens. So we reserve the right to change the quantities. Okay. Plan your splits now. Okay. Don't wait till, hey, I need this. I need some queens to do my split. This is a great opportunity to say, I'm going to do my splits on June 25th, and I'm going to get 2 mated queens and 3 queen cells or whatever. Okay. Now we can go. Thank you. So you just basically just go to storefront, check on queens and queen cells. And this is, you would click on the picture if you want the mated queens, or if you want the queen cells, you click on that. And you actually get those little screens that I showed, the matrices, and you can pick what dates and what amounts, okay? Very easy. Next, okay. As I mentioned, hands-on learning opportunities with experienced speakers. To me, I think that's the biggest value of the Queen team. I really, again, want to get out of the Queen business. I think you guys should all be doing it yourself, and you can. Grafting Wednesdays, we just had a grafting, George and Hiroshi just did a grafting session at George's house. If you've never grafted, you can hands-on do grafting with real cells right next to George and Hiroshi, and no better way to learn it, okay? Drone catching. We'll be doing drone catching for catching drones for the artificial insemination. That's actually on the afternoon after our Queen Catch Saturdays, okay? And we'll be catching a lot of drones, and we actually use them to extract the semen for our artificial insemination. I don't know how many people in this room have done it, but I know I haven't done that. Okay, so that's something that I want to experience. Queen Catch Saturdays, I've said, hey, we go through a whole raft of things. It's a great learning experience. Virgin Queen Tuesday, we're actually, it's right after we put our cells in our mating boxes. Then we go in like 3 days later and see what cells hatched. We weigh them, and we're going to be putting decals on them this year. Before we were marking them with paint pen. This year we're putting decals on. How many people put decals on queens before? I don't think there's many in the club because we didn't get. All right, yeah, little race cars. So this year we're putting decals on. Okay. As I said before, how many people have seen virgin queens and how they behave? Great opportunity to see 40 virgin queens. You'll get to know them real fast, what they do and how to find them. Okay. Queen insemination, the week after Queen Catch Saturdays. Daryl's going to be running, the infamous Passport Daryl is actually, will be doing the artificial insemination of those queens and the semen that we collected. And you can actually go on and participate. You can actually participate side by side with them. I know there's probably only 2 or 3 people in the club who have done that. Okay, hands-on. Okay, this is all free too, this experience. And lastly, Cage and Count Thursdays. This is actually 3 days, 3 days before we have our Queen Catch Saturdays. It's actually, I think, it's one of the best opportunities to learn because we're going through all of our mating boxes and we're finding the mated queens. The nice part is it's in a mating box, so it's not a ton of bees, and it's only 2 frames. Okay, if you only got 2 frames, you got a much better chance of finding a queen there than in your 2 deep hives at home. But you get a really good experience of seeing 30 or 40 of them in one afternoon. Okay, next one.
And these cycle every 3 weeks. So we do 5 queen raising cycles a season. So,
yep.
You know, there's plenty of opportunities if you miss one cycle to jump in on another cycle and do it. So,
yeah, I meant to say that. Yep,
yeah.
Every 3 weeks. So that's what so to volunteer, you go on Club Express under the members menu. There'll be a volunteer page. Okay, and I think there's actually 6 pages now of opportunities where you can sign up now when you're not on vacation. Say, hey, I want to go to this Queen Catch Saturday, sign up and be there. You can plan it ahead of time. All these opportunities are out there that we're doing all through the summer, every 3 weeks. So no excuses for you not being able to find queens.
And people don't be afraid if you have 0 experience, as Steve said. The volunteer is a learning opportunity and not. So just because you have no idea what a queen looks like and you don't know how to keep bees, you can still show up and learn. Your skill level is not going to have an impact on the outcome of these queens. Trust me.
Absolutely. And it's a very good supportive group. almost everybody who's come and volunteered with us usually comes back regularly. Okay, because they find it to be a fun, good learning experience. Okay, the artificial insemination plants. Okay, so Daryl does run the artificial insemination process. This year, we're actually going to an artificial insemination, so relatively new technology in the beekeeping field. It's still being analyzed and studied. I don't know if there's any clubs in this area that are actually doing artificial insemination. So we'll be doing it, and we're looking at what the values are. We're trying to develop the process of use. If Daryl's going to school or or has completed with Sue Kobe, which is one of the leading gurus in artificial insemination. Okay. Okay, that's what I thought.
I'll be a lot better.
Less hacking.
And we'll be there. So there's going to be 5 cycles. They're aligned with our Queen Cat Saturday. So like I said before, we'll be getting the sperm for the inseminations on Queen Cat Saturday. At the tail end of our Queen Cat Saturday from 12/3. And again, volunteer opportunity. Then we'll on the following Sunday is when we'll actually be doing the inseminations, and you can do it side by side with them and sign up and do it if you want to get the experience. And then even lastly, we're going for the queens that we do successfully inseminate. We're actually going to be looking for foster parents who want to raise those and report back on how they're doing for free. Okay, you don't get that opportunity too often. Okay. If you have any questions, I don't know if many people know about it. This is if you guys are not familiar with what to do with queen cells, how do I tell if I have a queenless hive? Especially people who begin. We have a lot of beginner beekeepers here. This is the first time you've seen this stuff. We basically picked some of the best videos that we thought out there, short, concise, just to determine the typical problems that you might run into. One, for example, how do I care for my caged queen? How do I install a queen cell into a split? My favorite one is I can't read it, but is my hive queenless? Do I have laying worker hive? Okay, it's hard to experience it unless you've seen it. These are great videos to be able to recognize some of the symptoms. Okay, great go-to page. It's always out there. And that page and other things that unfortunately I can't read it. It has our schedules. Basically, it's all around queens and queen cells. You'll go to Learning Center, click on Learning Center, and you'll see on the Learning Center, it's called All Hail the Queen. And this is a page that George actually put together. He led putting that together. It's a very useful tool. So please utilize it. It's out there. Okay.
And Charlie looking at all the videos.
Yeah. Last one, I think. Any questions?
I highly recommend joining it, no matter where you are in your beekeeping journey. I worked with Steve in 2019 and learned a ton that I haven't ever had by.
Good stuff. Yeah. Thanks. And the opportunities are out there to sign up. The mated queens are now out there, and the queen cells are out there. Okay, so
if you take a course on queen rear, and it's going to cost you $250, $300 for a weekend course on queen rear, and we'll teach you just as much as they're going to teach you on that, and you have multiple cycles to learn it from. So I'm putting the plug out there because I think we've gotten very good at what we're doing, and definitely want to teach other people how to do it too. Yeah.
Cool.
If I'm not mistaken, we're going to be having more of the backyard queen backyard queen rearing.
The back.
I didn't want to. I wasn't going to mention that. So okay, no, I didn't. So one of the things that I personally have a passion for teaching the club about. It's not rocket science. I really making your own queens is so easy, okay, and inexpensive. So as soon as I get my schedule together, I'm going to put out on Facebook and on email, hold a backyard queen, basically do not grafting, but we'll do splits or double screen propagation of queen cells. Okay, and you can do. I actually just made my first double screen 2 weeks ago. It cost me absolutely zero. I made it out of scrap wood and screen, and I'm probably going to actually start my first one this week. Okay, then lots of people. One of our people on board, Tim First, he does it all the time. He basically propagates queens that way. That's one of the ways he does it. You guys can do it in your backyard so easily. So this is something I keep telling George, I'm going to schedule this. I'll have a class at my house, and I'd like to get one. I'm in Montgomery County, and I'd like to get another volunteer to do somewhere in Chester County, so it's easy for people to get to. And it's like, hey, come to my house. We're going to do it and show you what to do. And then if you want, we'll come back 2 weeks later, and we're going to see the results of the queen. Okay, so that's it. Any other questions? Thanks, Ed.
Thanks. Yeah, so we're committed to do a backyard queen rearing class or session for everybody at some point this season. Probably will be late May, early June is what we're looking at. So anyway, my wife said, how do you talk for 3 hours about bees? But we just did it again. So we talked 3 hours about bees. And next month is the second Saturday of May. So next month we move to our outdoor meeting location, which is at Cheslin Pavilion. And that'll be at second Saturday of May, which conflicts with the Queen team, but we'll figure that out at 9 to noon. Awesome.